Alright, so one of the next things I'd like to take care of is the tripod shifter bushings. Like I was mentioning before, they're pretty shot. I got some new OEM Toyota ones, so I'm going to install those now. So yeah, this is what they look like. It's not much to them, but as you can see, they're shot. So I've got some brand new Toyota replacement ones. All I have to do is push up these races, push those out, and yeah, pop the new ones in. These top ones here pretty much pull out the same way. These aren't as bad as the other ones, but I figured I might as well replace them. What else I got? Part number for them, if you're interested. Alright, so both of those are pressed in. I had a little bit of trouble with one. I had to start it with the vise, and then I finished it off with the press. But yeah, anyways, now I just got to push these guys in. Up next, we have the output shaft seal. This one's probably been leaking because there was no drive shaft in it, but might as well change it. Got one here. This is the part number for it. Yeah, let's pop that out. Start a pilot hole with a small drill on either side of the seal itself. Then I'm going to come in with a wood screw and just start the holes off with this one, and then I ground off the tips of these two other ones to be able to use to pry off of with, because I don't want to damage the inner race. I'm pretty certain it's aluminum back there, so you don't want to mar that up or score or even put a little hole and possibly damage your future seal or anything else. Shouldn't really be a big issue because it's not actually a face that has the shaft up against it, but you still don't want to damage it. So anyways, we'll start with that. Alright, after you fully cleaned out the area, make sure there's no, little shavings or anything in that area, it's time to install the new one. I like putting a little bit of a dab of grease here. Just helps the edge of the seal not to stick on its way in. Helps it so it doesn't actually bite into the sides. I got a 36mm socket. It's the biggest socket I have. should fit around the edge. Able to hammer it in place. Alright, so the next big step is going to be making the cutout in the tunnel. This portion of the tripod shifter sticks, I guess, further forward compared to the automatic tunnel, which is a smaller hole. The best way to, I guess, cut out that section is to measure from the mating surface off of the bell housing to the actual block to the furthest point forward, or highest point forward, which would be probably this little breather, and then to the back of here. So roughly, to have a bit of clearance, I'm looking at 2 feet or 24 inches, and in the back about 32 inches. The plan is to cut a little bit further back here. I'm probably going to take a drill or even follow this edge and just cut here. Drill a hole here just to get a bit of a rounded radius here. Same with this. I don't think I need to go much wider. I think this opening is okay. But right here is definitely going to be needed to cut. And then same with up here. I'm probably going to follow this edge. This might be interesting here though. But we'll find out. I'll try and get a straight edge and cut a nice hole here. Fiberglass piece that goes over top of this covers a pretty large section, so it allows you to go pretty far back. I think it's probably about to here, and then yeah, as far as I can reach, which is past where I'm cutting, so that should be good to cut from there across. Again, like I said, I want to round these off just to make it look half decent. Round those off. Cut these out. That should give us plenty of clearance. I might consider maybe cutting these shorter just so I don't think they're going to touch, but I might just nick these off just so they don't protrude or hit the transmission for any case. And yeah, I could go around these, but I'm not sure. I might go right around this just so there's no lip here. It's not going to be there for any other reason anyways. Maybe I'll do that and go on the outside edge of this, go right around. Yeah, let's get to it. So one thing I forgot to mention, but is definitely majorly important, is I covered the hole from the inside with this fireproof blanket. It's just a chunk that I had laying around. You definitely want to cover the hole to make sure that nothing catches fire or sparks don't shoot up around into your interior. That wouldn't be a fun time. But yeah, just you could use I guess a damp rag or damp towel or something and kind of like hover it over the hole so you're not cutting into it. But yeah, it looks like the job was done. This piece here, let's get it in there. Yeah, pretty much right there. So that covers all what I need. I think it's going to do the job. It's going to do the job pretty well. I'll be able to seam seal and attach this properly around the edges. And, yeah, looks like there's a fair fair bit of clearance. I'm not going to install this till I get the transmission in place, just to get this hole centered exactly where the shifter should be, because there's a bit of back and forth movement. Obviously it comes in contact right there, so I don't think it has to go super far back. But anyways, just to get an idea, the hump definitely sits higher compared to the old one. So So the next thing I'd like to do is permanently mount this little fiberglass enclosure to seal everything up. I want to seam seal everything and secure it with some screws to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. The seam sealer would probably be enough, but I might just use some small self-tappers and then trim them so they don't stick out in the tunnel, just to make sure that it stays in the exact place it should be. But yeah, I want to try the brand new dust boot for the shifter as well. So we'll crack that open. Bolts in there. I think it's pretty much where it needs to be, position front to back, I guess. It's not hitting or touching in front. Clears everything, so there's really no trimming involved with the actual fiberglass piece. But yeah, I think we should be good to pretty much mark the spot and do so. I can get a pre-drill here. I might add one somewhere along this side, the same one on the other side, and that should be good enough. And then, like I said, use some seam sealer all on the inside of here, all the way across the front, so nothing can get through that way. And this is gonna make sure this doesn't get this here is rubber on the bottom side of this, so it'll seal this hole up. And yeah, no fumes, no water spray, no heat, hopefully. I guess I could insulate the outside of this to help, but I think it should be pretty good. Yeah, seemed to work out okay. I noticed there was a bit of a gap up front, up in the front of this. It's kind of hard to see up there, but anyways, I could just kind of feel my finger. There was a lip on the inside of it, and I kind of wanted to make sure that I was sealed, because obviously I don't want heat coming up into my dash and everything. So I ended up kind of just building up a little bit of a tin tape like layer, just to kind of hold some of the like panel bond or seam sealer. I mean, it's not the best situation, but it ends up, well, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see from in there that it's completely sealed across. And yeah, I ran some seam sealer all around all the sheet metal screws, just to make sure there was no water leaking up. If you look inside, there's a pretty good amount of like oozing, if you want to call it that. It goes all the way around and inside these areas. I wanted to make sure that, you know, there was no leakage. This around here, you know, I can just kind of clean it up just so it's a little bit more tidy. But yeah, it's good. It's nice. I wanted it to kind of just seep out a little bit, just so I knew that it was actually all the way around. I might have went a bit excessive on the seam sealer, but I just wanted it to be sealed and not have any issues of water leaking, especially seeing as there's like a bit of a shelf from in here. You know, water could sit on top of here. I didn't want it seeping out of here, so I made sure there was a nice you know, ledge all the way around to make sure water didn't actually sit in there. There's actually two 10 mils bolts that were there from the gear selector. I was gonna block them, but the fact that they're kind of in a place where it couldn't technically be a drain hole, I might just leave them open. Yeah, just to kind of prevent water from sitting up there. But like I said, I don't think it's gonna be too crazy. I'm not planning on going in some crazy rainstorms and trying to swamp this car. So yeah, so anyways, that looks about right. I'm gonna let that set and then probably attach the dust boot over top of everything once I get the shifter in its place and bolt it up. And then yeah, pretty much I can probably put most of the interior back in, or at least the center console, and then plug in all my stuff. I also have this used manual shifter surround. You can kind of see the difference with the automatic and the manual. This one's pretty beat up, but I got it for a decent price, so I'm not going to complain too much. The only thing I noticed that it doesn't have is the power, I guess, modes that are on the automatic. Now, I could pretty much just take this switch, connect it inside somewhere in like the dash or somewhere there. From what I've heard, that's what people do. So essentially take this switch out, click it on normal or power or whichever, obviously power, why would you want it on normal? I'm not trying to save fuel here. But yeah, and then select your traction button. That'll be able to go right in. Plugs into the factory location, I guess, for the manual version. So anyways, yeah, the boot's a little torn and shit, but I'll fix that later. Not a big deal. And yeah, that'll pretty much button up the interior. drive shaft today. Thank you to Ottawa Drive Shaft. Always a pleasure doing business with you guys. Let's get this in the car. Alright, here it is. Finally, manual is swapped. Most of the interior back together. Still need to clean up some stuff, but pretty decent. Still got to do the cluster. I want to do the whole park, reverse, neutral, drive to low, delete. I'll do that in a separate episode, but shouldn't be too hard to do. But yeah, drives pretty good, shifts smooth. Overall, pretty damn happy with how it turned out. My reverse lights work, even the reverse beeper. For the wiring itself, it wasn't too complicated to wire up as long as you follow a decent diagram. The pinouts on the gear selector for the automatic is kind of your biggest thing. You just have to literally put a jumper from one to the other on your I think it's called starter A and starter B. I'll post up a picture of it there and show what I jumped out. But other than that, your reverse light sensor, or reverse, I guess, sensor itself, it just needs to be tied into the wires that I'll show in the diagram. That activates your reverse lights and lets everything know that it's in reverse. Your speed sensor itself has again, it depends really. I don't know. I noticed that on my pin or my wiring harness was colored differently than what I seen on other posts. Now, I could have been seeing stuff that was kind of referenced to a JZX100 instead of a 90, but color differences were kind of the same, but some of them weren't. A lot of the colors were included, but yeah, essentially the speed sensor is pretty self-explanatory. Just like I said, look at the diagram. On the this JZX90 at least, the speed sensor was separate from the selector plug, so it was pretty easy. I just literally untaped it all and then ran it directly to the back to the speed sensor, and it worked perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm stoked on this. It turned out really friggin' nice. Like I said, it took a little longer than I wanted, but I was only plugging away at it here and there on weekends and sometime weeknights if I had time. But yeah, I am damn stoked that it is manual. It's a completely new car. It feels completely, I don't know, just woke it right up. So yeah, I'm excited to do a little more on this thing. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, till the next one.